What's up everyone? Welcome to FAQ139. First of all, a milestone has been reached. 500,000 subscribers on YouTube. Oh, wrong sample. I breached 500,000 subscribers on YouTube. No, where's the applause? Oh shit, I forgot that I exchanged the applause to a beaver fart. Okay, let's just go with the laughter. So I breached 500,000 subscribers on YouTube. Thank you so much. It's... It's actually a really awesome milestone for me, and I'm incredibly happy about reaching 500k. I mean, you know, my channel is pretty far from being an overnight success. It's been, you know, constant work for the past 10 years. And, you know, it's been slowly and slowly growing, and reaching 500,000 subscribers it's very big for me. And, you know, just looking back at the amount of work that I put in to reach this position right here, it feels absolutely great. And with me reaching 500k subscribers, I released a new single this past week. And, oh, you are amazing. Thank you so much for all the kind words and praises of my new single. The single is called The Sun and the Moon. You're probably gonna hear it beneath this and me talking right here. And if you haven't checked it out already, you can go back, I'll put a link somewhere. But this single is basically like an extension of, you know, my solo material, just like, you know, Masters of the Universe. It's available through Bandcamp, and it will be available on Spotify and iTunes soon. And I also made it available as a limited edition vinyl, like a 7-inch vinyl, that I haven't received yet. I heard they're on the way though, so pretty soon, guys. So there's two different 7-inch vinyls that you can get. You can get the limited edition one that is limited to 500 pieces, you know, because of 500k subscribers. I will personally sign and number each one of them. And then there's also a regular 7-inch vinyl version, and I'll just sign all of it, okay? They're up on my website, available for pre-order, so we're probably gonna ship them out in a week or so, and basically selling them for non-profit. What you're paying for is shipping and the cost of the actual vinyl. So, I mean, these are weird times, you know, a lot of people don't have that much money maybe, so, you know, I just rather have the vinyl be available for everyone, and then if someone wants to chip in more money, they can do so if they wish. So, yeah, thank you so much, guys, for all of this, and I've been talking a lot about this single now. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'm gonna stop talking about that one. So what else? Yes, there's a new guitar, the V1.6, but I don't have it, so I can show it, but it's available. Solar Guitar's website. That's my webpage, by the way. Hito, fuck! The Chug term is a little hard for me to grasp. Can you describe it as level or type of distortion you want to get from a specific type of gear? Can you give examples of a chugging and non-chugging gear? Thank you and keep up the good work. Thank you so much. So, this is actually a really good question, because a lot of people probably draws the parallel between, you know, a shit ton of gain and chugging, but that's not completely true. I mean, you can have a lot of gain and it won't chug at all. So for me, chugging is basically when it's a tight bottom end and a saturated middle ground, I would say. It's a perfect balance between tightness and a shit ton of gain. Like this sound, for instance. I mean, obviously this is a lot of gain, but, you know, there's a pre-filter or an overdrive happening which kind of shapes the sound of your guitar. So when the signal hits the preamp of the amplifier, it's already very, very much tighter than it's supposed to be. A chugging rig is basically like a Fortin. You know, it's dry, it's chugging, and you don't necessarily need that much gain. Non-chugging gear is basically, you know, if you take like an orange amplifier, for instance, like a dual terror, for instance, and just cram the gain up, it's gonna slightly give out a chug, but it's not chugging on its own. You would need an overdrive to kind of shape your guitar sound going into it, and then you got a chug going. That's a great question, actually, and hope I answered it. Look at this mug, by the way. Holy shit, it's Joshi. It's his egg. Does he lay eggs, by the way? Huh. Very interesting. Mikey Seward, gotta say, Ola, that single was absolutely killer. You do not disappoint. Thank you and keep up the good work. Thank you so much. You know, when a lot of artists are saying like, yeah, you know, I just make music to make music and, you know, I don't care what other people think. You know, and I understand that. And, you know, I kind of trust my own ability to write music and make music. But it feels very nice to hear when people appreciate what you're doing. No doubt about it, it feels great. So thank you so much for all those kind words. It really inspires me to write more, which I am right now. So, more music. Sebastian Queseda Neira. Hola, I never see you try a Chapman or a Victory yet. Or you ever tried? Cheers from Chile. You know what? I actually did a couple demos of a couple of Chapman guitars back in the day, probably like 5 or 6 years ago. So you can check them out on my channel. And I don't know. I mean, I'm open for making more. I mean, if Chapman wants to send me a guitar, I can use for a rig of the week. I mean, just as what I've been doing with the Schecter guitars and, you know, the comparisons. And I also have the Charvel Angel Vivaldi guitar over there. I mean, I'll gladly try whatever for my rig of the week. And so I would love to try it out. Also, Victory amp, of course. Brian Acevedo. Hi, Ola. Greetings from Las Vegas. Love the channel and all that you do. Anyways, my friend told me a story about hanging out with you and Jeff Loomis after NAMM. He said that they had you try Pabst Blue Ribbon PBR beer and you hated it. Don't blame you. What do you think of American beer compared to Swedish beer? Was there any beer that stood out and is a must-have when you come to the States? Just as a disclaimer, I'm not a connoisseur when it comes to beer, and maybe that's a shock for a lot of you guys out there, but I just don't drink that much beer anymore. When I drink beer nowadays, I get pregnant after one beer, which is a problem. I get really, really big in my belly. Maybe gluten, I don't know. Well, Pabst Blue Ribbon, I mean, we have these kinds of beers in Sweden as well. It's basically like the cheap beer. It's just like slightly average to below average. And it's cheap to buy. And I guess it kind of, you know, you kind of force it down in a way. You know, when it comes to beer, I'm a big lager fan. And now you guys are going to say, like, oh, you piss water asshole. You know? But I don't give a shit. I like lager, okay? And a lot of the beers that I've had on tours in the US, you have Coors, you have Budweiser, and, you know, just like when you're on tour, you get a shit ton of beer, and maybe it's not necessarily the best beers that you get on the rider. The Coors and the Budweisers, they're basically like soda. And, you know, that's fine. I can drink that, no problem. But also another thing that they had a lot of in the US when you tour is, or are these microbreweries that are available everywhere. And everyone is so proud about their microbreweries. I just cannot drink beers from microbreweries. They're way too fruity. And I usually call it drinking fruit piss, which upsets a lot of people. But I'm not saying that Swedish beer is good at all. I'm not saying that American beer is inferior to Swedish beer, for instance. I mean, there's good and bad Swedish beers as well. I like a lot of, you know, the Czech lagers and some of those. And, you know, I'm not the right guy to ask. So don't value my opinion for anything. I'm not a beer drinker anymore. It's hard to say that, but, you know, I get pregnant. But I don't want to be pregnant. Riff of the day. Okay, let's make that riff of the day then. Old Englund, the Swede. So let's do the main riff of The Sun and the Moon, my single. Your guitar needs to be in drop C. This guitar is in drop D, but I'm gonna show it anyways. It's just the same, it's just, you know, a step below. Okay, so slow. Charles Losh, what do you think of Jared Dines getting on the cover of Guitar World magazine? Do you think more YouTube guitarists should be taken seriously like that? Yes! So Jared Dines is on this month's Guitar World magazine cover, and yes, he definitely deserves to be on there. And you're asking if more YouTube guitar players should be taken seriously like that? Well, I see it like this. I think it's more about how influential you are. I mean, usually on the Guitar World magazines, it's like, you know, it's usual guys. You have John Petrucci, Tosin Abasi, and, you know, then it kind of shifts, and, you know, old players, sometimes Dimebag, and, you know, these key gods, basically. And seeing Jared Dines there, it makes me genuinely happy, because he does have a lot of influence, and he's been getting, you know, a lot of young kids to play guitar out there, which I think is very, very important. I mean, the rock stars that we always had and, you know, kind of looked up to, they're still there, but this new YouTube thing is a new type of, you know, character or hero, an influencer, and I think that in that sense, they influence a lot more of the younger kids today than maybe some of these rock stars are doing. So I definitely think it's important. I think it's a very important cover, and it makes me very happy to see him on there. It opens up a gateway into, you know, YouTubers, which is kind of like a curse word almost. It's not easy for a lot of these guys to get respect in that field. You know, a lot of people just shrug off, you know, they hear YouTubers like, ugh. So I think it's a really good start. Great, huh? Hungry guitar student. Hey Ola, in your songwriting process, who do you go for an external opinion? Given your notoriety, is it hard to get an honest opinion, for example, fans kissing your ass? Yes, this is a great question. For instance, this single, I published it for my members only a couple days before I released it public. And, you know, a lot of people, they're praising the songs, and I have to have some understanding that a lot of them are probably just trying to kiss my ass. But I feel that a lot of the comments, the longer ones that they made, they are really genuine. And even though, you know, when I was writing songs back in the day, I think that part of it all was way more important to me, and how I kind of would shape a song. And, you know, I would, you know, go on the Andy Sneap forum, for instance, and ask like, okay, what do you think about this, guys? And, you know, wanting other people's opinion, or also wanting to try to boast and like, check out my riffs, man. These are pretty kick-ass. Now it's just like, whatever kind of happens, happens. If people don't like the song, well, that's just unfortunate. I mean, music is so subjective, and, you know, you cannot in a million years please everyone in the world. So I think it's way more important to just try and trust your abilities to be able to write something. And obviously when people tell you that you're making good music, it's easier for you to trust yourself and what you're doing, and, you know, is this the right part for this song or whatever. I think if you believe it enough yourself, it's going to portray as being confident. You just have to accept that you're probably not making music for, you know, the wide audience. You're probably making it for a niche audience. And I don't really have any external opinions that I go to and, you know, have a valued opinion of. At this age that I'm at right now, you know, I just do music when I feel like it. You know, if I have a feeling for a song happening, you know, I usually like the songs when I do that. And obviously when I mix it, I'm sick and tired of it. And, you know, this song that I just released, I'm sick and tired of that song, because I've been hearing it, I think, 1,000 times or something. So, I mean, you can always grow sick of your music, but as I'm writing the song, I usually have a love for the song. And if I have a love for the song, I think that there's probably something about it. Not everyone out there might understand your intentions with a song. You know, it's just so hard to listen to one song. If it's like a one song or a single taken out of an album, I think it loses a lot, because for me, a full album is a journey, and, you know, the songs make each other good. So just pulling one song out of an album, it's really hard. It's really, really hard, and to get people to appreciate that when it's a part of something bigger. So, did I answer the question, or did I just wail loud? You know, the soundboard is really helping me out, because, you know, if I have a really awkward answer or something like that, I can just like, and then it's over. IG, hi Ola, if Dimebag was still with us, what amp do you think he would be using? Do you think he would have stopped using real tube amps and starting using Axe-FX, Kemper, etc.? I think that Dimebag would probably have stuck with using tube amplifiers or real amplifiers. I mean, come on. I think that he would probably use an Axe-FX, but only for effects and like writing options, or maybe if you want to go direct or something like that. Dimebag is not Dimebag without, you know, 40 4x12s and 100 amplifiers, right? Damn it. I kind of wonder, like, what would life look like if Dimebag was still alive? You know, they would probably have reunited Pantera and, you know, yeah. They would most likely still play a shit ton, probably. And, yeah. Shit. Brings me down, man. I need to bring myself up. There it is. E.R. Webster. Hey, Ola, are tube amps really that much better? Is it just the preamp section that matters, or does the power section make a difference? Never plugged into a tube amp and trying to justify the cost. Okay, this is a heated discussion for sure. In reality, for me, tube amplifiers and real amplifiers will always win. And it's for the simple reason that whenever you use something digital, you have to convert an analog signal to digital. This means a conversion. And for every conversion from analog to digital and digital to analog, there's always a slight delay or a lag happening. And you can't really get away from that. I mean, that lag has been shortened a lot, but you still can't get away from that initial smallest lag, which will affect how it feels to play through the gear. So for instance here, I'm using my cable going into my audio interface, which has an analog to digital converter in it, so I can use it in my plugin right here. And then that plugin consumes processing power, and I'm having my buffer size pretty low, so there's always a latency happening. And even so on Axe-FX and Kempers, it still needs to be a conversion somewhere, and that conversion will affect the feel of your playing. We're so close that, you know, 99% of the people out there, they don't give a shit, basically. But when you play a tube amplifier, and if you've never played one, you will be amazed of the direct response when you chug that chord. You might see it in the Will It Chugs and in the Rig of the Weeks. Why I'm so happy is because, you know, it reminds me that tube amplifiers are the shit. You know, that initial attack, you can't get that through an Axe-FX or a Kemper. It's just such a direct response. I mean, the Axe-FX, I think, is probably the closest we've come ever to get a really great feeling playing-wise. But playing a tube amplifier is just... that's done. It's all analog, and it's just, man, that's where it is. It's just such a good feeling playing one. Playing like a, you know, a tube amplifier and a 4x12, it's just like, it gives you balls, man. It gives you balls. Do I have a balls sample somewhere? No, that's not it. No, shit, I don't have a ball sample. But basically it feels like this. Every time you play a tube amplifier. Okay? Good question, I like that. Volcano C16. What do you think about Michael Amott and his guitar? Michael Amott of Arch Enemy, obviously. And he also played in Carcass and a shit ton of other bands as well. But Arch Enemy is his main thing. I'm trying to kind of get this guitar underneath my cable here so I can put it here. I think I've said this before, but I think that Michael Amott is an extremely underrated guitar player. He writes incredible music, but he's an insane guitar player as well, and I don't think he gets enough credit for that. Obviously in Arch Enemy you also have Jeff Loomis, which is one of the best guitar players in the world right now, but Michael Amott is really, really, really good at guitar. His guitar though, is he with Dean? He's with Dean, right? Dean, is it this one? Okay, so this is the Dean Michael Amott Tyrant X electrical guitar splatter, and you know, it's a V-shaped guitar. Probably a little bit more hefty than a regular V. Kind of reminding me a little bit about the original Gibson V, because it looks a little bit more hefty. And yeah, it looks good, man. I like the original headstock that they have. You know, the original Dean headstock, that looks cool. Oh, look at this. There it is. The earwig guitar. I want to have one. I want to try it. Can we enlarge this? That's what she said. Ooh, silver. Look at that. Now that's cool. That looks really cool. It looks classic. I mean, you have the two pneumatic bridge. Are these Invaders? USA DMT time capsule. Okay, no, it's not Invaders then. But look high up. But look at this. This looks really cool, actually. It's a little, you know, it's a little tacky, but you know, still pretty cool. Still pretty cool. Look at this guy. Is that Michael Amott? No, it's not. I think his guitar model here, it looks great. It looks very balanced in the lines, I must say. And then, you know, these graphics, I mean, fine. I mean, there's some kid that's gonna like these graphics. But I think, yeah, I think the silver one was probably my favorite, actually. Because it's different. Yeah. No, I think it looks good. You know, obviously I met him a bunch of times. We've been touring together and, you know, it's... Great. And that was the last question. Thank you so much, guys. I'm at 500K right now. How about that? Oh, wrong sound. Also, I forgot to say, but I've also seen a fair bunch of you guys receiving solar guitars and posting them online and posting them on Instagram and tagging me and all that. And I just want to say thank you. Seeing people being happy with a guitar that I designed, it's undescribable. How I can't describe the feeling and how proud I am about this, and seeing people with guitars in their hands and them enjoying it. It's making me teary-eyed, I must say, even though it's not happening right now. But these past 2.5 years of solar guitars have been moving way too fast and way too quick, and I don't think I've grasped it yet. I think what it all means. I'm just incredibly proud and happy that you guys want to buy my guitars. It's insane, actually. It's fucking insane. Hopefully there's still limited edition 7-inch vinyls left when this FAQ is being aired. I hope so. Otherwise you can get the other 7-inch vinyl, which is not limited. And you might wonder, why is the limited vinyl €1 more expensive than the regular one? It's because of the vinyl being half colored, white and black. It costs a lot more to print those. But other than that, it's pay what you want. You don't have to pay. You can also download the song on Bandcamp, and eventually it will be available on Spotify and iTunes. So it will be available, okay? So thank you so much for watching my FAQ. Thank you so much to all my beautiful members out there, and see you next time. Thank you. Seriously.